Practice is going really well. Guys are starting to come together, really building the culture. Tight ends, especially with that position on offense, it's very important. We ask a lot of those guys in the pass game and the run game. I think they were asked to do a couple different things in previous staffs that we might do a little bit different, so just kind of getting over those hurdles of teaching that, a little bit of different technique, but we're getting there. It's pretty good.
So how much of a learning curve is it for from the previous staff, previous scheme that they know going into this new offense?
There's always a base of what they've learned and what they kind of know. It's more our verbiage, techniques, and we do a little bit more unique stuff with the tight ends. There is a learning curve, but I've, with two of the guys that have been here already, Austin and Bentley, older guys that are very smart between the ears, and they've been able to do extra work, pick up little things here and there, and they've put in that extra effort to really, we've got a certain amount of time, but they hang out on their own, do their own kind of deal, and try to get that extra leg up as we go. So it's way better at going into practice 5. They know way more and are doing way better than I thought they would have. So I'm happy with that.
How is the whole room, kind of coming together? You got a few new faces there, and you mentioned Austin and Bentley as well.
Yep. So Austin and Bentley, they have been great older guys that have been in the room. Jacob Jenkins, who knows the system a little bit, he's been almost like an assistant coach for us right now. Billy had come in previously from a JUCO. A little bit higher of a hill to climb from a technique standpoint, but has a willingness to learn and go out there and, try to smack somebody in the face, which is good. And the room altogether, I'm very impressed with not many egos. They're all trying to help each other out. I'll look over and somebody comes off the field from a rep. I'm coaching the next guy, but that guy who just come off, I look over and, Billy's trying to talk to him about what he saw, or Jacob's talking to him about something. So from that standpoint, very impressive.
What is the role of the tight end in this offense?
How much time you got? It's everything and anything. I always pitch it when I'm in recruiting that our offense, if we have one really good tight end, we're going to play with one really good tight end. If we got 3 really good tight ends, we're going to play with 3 really good tight ends because of what we can open up. We got to kill it in the run game, but what we can open up in the pass game, because if we come out there, we're going to run behind you on 4th and short, but then on 2-minute drive, you might be the focal point in the slot, getting us a 3rd down catch. So it really, how much they own it in the run game though first is going to open up the pass game just dramatically.
So how many at a time will you see on the field? Maybe 1 to 3?
I think you're talking about rotation or just so rotation. I would say you're probably going to see in one game at least 2 guys, if not 3. Probably for the most part, 3 guys will get playing time in a game. I think looking at stats from previously, 98% of our snaps we had at least 1 tight end on the field, and I think 25% of our overall snaps we had 2. So from a standpoint of, especially any situational, 3rd medium, 3rd and short, some 1st down stuff where we're trying to set up play action passes and some pass game, run game, stuff like that. And then just kind of rotational, what I'll do is personnel some stuff up where maybe we have a 5-play menu in a certain personnel with 1 tight end, maybe a guy who isn't getting the heaviest load that's doing well can get those 5 plays and kind of divvy it up like that.
You mentioned Jacob. How much is, it a little bit of a crutch for you, maybe, if that's the right word, to have a guy that knows the system, knows you, knows the rest of the staff?
It's more like a wheelchair than a crutch, but it's unreal. So I will be sitting in the room. Things he does great is from a guy who has gone through it before. We'll talk about a technique or we'll talk about a play, and he will know to say, hey, when I see it like this is how I'm thinking about blocking it, talking about leverage or when a guy's in space, hey, if I'm pushing to him and he ain't looking at me, I can get more speed and work to that outside. Little things that coming from my mouth as a coach is completely different than coming from a player who just did it, 4 or 5 months ago, all that good stuff. So it's been phenomenal. And I'm very close with him. He's a great person to be in the room. They mesh together and they listen to him as well.
Offense as a whole starting to take shape a little bit.
It is. And definitely tight end's not the only position where it's a little bit different. I think we could have, if we would have gone into any place, it would have been a little bit different from what anybody else has run. And we know it takes time, just like building a culture with our offense, finding out who's the right guys in the pieces, and then installing what we need and what we do as an offense, and just kind of building from there. We're gonna make mistakes. We know that. Defense might get a TFL on a play because O-line blocks it wrong, or the receiver blocks it wrong, or the tight end blocks it wrong. But getting that back in the film room, understanding it, and teaching it from there, building that base, it'll really, you're starting to see those day one, day two mistakes on base plays becoming less and less, more occurrence of it going out there. So we're getting there. We're getting there.
From a coach's standpoint, how different is it in year one of spring ball as opposed to if you were here year 3, year 4?
A lot, because you're really, those little things that you take it granted for, of not having to coach, let's just say an alignment on a basic play, where the room all knows it, except for maybe a freshman, to where if that freshman didn't know it, he can at least be like, hey, where am I supposed to line up? 2 feet away. Now nobody knows it. So just those little details of and managing your time to get that in, but then also making sure we hit everything that needs. Like today, I know Brad had told me I was coming down here, which you guys can interview me anytime you want, but I was like, all right, I got 25 minutes to get about 2 hours worth of plays and technique in, so let me jam it in there real quick. But it's from that standpoint, it's a little bit more difficult, but I know, we'll do it now. We'll have some more time in the summer and then camp again, so you just kind of keep building on it and getting into more detail of it.
That said, how has the rotation been with this group? Because you got a couple of older guys, you got one guy that's been through it, but you got some younger guys too. How's the rotation gone?
Good. I try to manage it to where, the guys that are a little bit older, Austin and Bentley, like I've been saying, it's not like the first time they've gone through it. They're MAs. I mentioned it the other day. I think practice 3 they didn't have any MAs, which was unbelievable. Practice 4 they did, but practice 3 they didn't. And from that standpoint of, we'll script it up to where the guys that are the 1s or the 2s get a little bit more harder plays. Sometimes on the back end, a little bit less of a tag, maybe a little bit of an easier look. And I always tell them, sometimes, hey, this play's about to be run. We might run it again. Let's talk about Billy or somebody who hadn't run it before. See how this plays out, because you're going to get a rep very similar to it as well. And, we're going to coach it up on the field. We're going to coach it up in the film room. So that's what they pay us for, and it's what we practice for, is to get better and fix those mistakes.